Hello, everybody. This is the Stronghold podcast, episode 21. I'm here with Theebaan Govindasamy. He's a former welterweight champion from MIMMA. Two-time welterweight champion.
One-time welterweight champion. This second time I lost it.
Okay. But he's a SEA Games fighter and a actor.
Yeah.
Bro, you're very competitive, I think.
I like to think so. In school when I started, I was a track athlete, and then I did a lot of running, and I also did high jump. I guess mainly due to my height. And then as it went on, I started to focus a lot on karate, and then I moved on to MMA, and then now I'm acting. So
yeah,
I really want to do the best that I can everywhere. So
I can tell, man, you're a motivated guy. That's why I like talking to you. You just ooze positive enthusiasm and positive energy. And even every time that's why I wanted to chat with you. I knew you'd be perfect for the podcast format, and you have that kind of attractive, magnetic personality that just oozes positivity.
Wow. Thank you very much, man. Appreciate it.
So you competed in the SEA Games and karate and stuff. How many years did you do that? Because Ahmed and I were talking quite a lot yesterday on the podcast, and he was mentioning your competitive karate background and stuff. So why don't you lay out a little bit of that for me?
Okay. So I started karate when I was 5 years old. I was technically forced into karate by my parents. I did not want anything to do with it, but I had to do it. So I started karate when I was 5. And only when I got, I think when I turned 12 or 13, that was when I started to actually take it seriously, because every day there was karate classes on Fridays and Sundays, Friday nights after school and Sunday mornings before anything else, right? And Sunday mornings, there's a lot of cartoons on TV, and as a kid, you want to stay home, right? I would come up with, yeah, right. So I would come up with excuses every time, stomachache, headache, whatever, to skip classes. But every time me and my parents would get into a fight and whatever. So 12, 13 years old, I decided, it's twice a week. I'm going to go and I'm going to, just forget it. And I don't want to fight with my parents every day. So once I started going to class, and then, once you start doing it, you just want to do it better because my brother, who was at the time, he's just a year older to me, but he would get all the praise from my coach, from my master, right? Like, okay, good. Yes, Shankara, very good. And I'm like, come on, tell me something, I'm right here.
You want that feedback, right? Yeah. You want that positive feedback.
I do, Yeah, exactly. And my karate master, he was that kind of a person as well. When he says something, it stays in your head. So I really wanted that as well. So I guess at a certain point, I started to really do a lot better, to put a little bit of focus, a little bit of a little bit more into the practices. And once, for the first time, I heard him say, "Yes, good, Theebaan." I was like, "Wow, this feels good."
Now you're hooked.
And that was when it and that was when it kind of started to build up. And then at 14, I competed in my first karate tournament. I got a silver medal. I remember that. I remember the final score. It was 3-2. Yeah, until today.
You still remember to this day.
Yeah. So, and that's when, man. And that's when it sort of started to build up. And at 16 years old, I won my first national karate tournament. That was the first time I became national champion. And then from 16 years old until 23 years old, I held the national champion title, and I was with the national karate team.
Wow, you won so many years in a row.
Yes, I did, actually.
Damn, son, that's impressive as fuck. Hell yeah.
Thank you very much. Yeah,
dude,
thank you very much.
So that took you to 23. Is that when you started training MMA?
24 was when I started training MMA. 23 was my last SEA Games. That was I got 2 silver medals there. After that, I knew I wanted more from fighting. Karate is sport karate, at least it's point sparring, right? You're not really getting into it, and yeah, that's the striking bit, and there's a whole lot more that I wanted to learn. And that's when at 24 I picked up MMA, and once I picked it up, I got into the ring, the octagon, without training a single day of my life. I watched a few videos.
That's the Malaysian way. That's how Malaysians do
it. That's how we do it, right? I watched videos online. I mean, not tutorial videos or anything, just like fight videos, right? You watch the UFC or ONE FC videos, And I was like, yes, I want to go try it. And I went in and tried it. And I was like, I can fight. I've been winning karate fights for my entire life. And I go in there, I start striking with this guy. And it's really good. And, he's afraid of my striking, whatever not. So he's responding well. But the moment he got me into a lock, I panicked. I panicked so bad, right? I was like, no, I don't know what to do to get out of this thing. And
did he take you down?
I lost the
what
fight.
happened? Did he take you down?
Yeah. So
you're like, this is illegal. What the fuck are we doing? You're not.
Well, I didn't know what I could do and could not do. So he got a double leg, took me down, and then he got into full mount somehow, right? I mean, I guess it was super easy because I didn't know what I was doing. He got into a full mount, and he started punching me, but it was a ground and pound, and I didn't know what to do, but I scrambled my way out of it, and that's when he got me into a headlock, right? I want to say, I forgot.
Like the schoolyard headlock, the bully headlock, like the side of your body, like that one?
Yeah, something like that, right? Right. Yeah. And then somehow that transitioned into a rear naked choke, and I couldn't get out of it. I just couldn't get out of it, right? So I tapped, and the moment I walked out of the cage, I was like, dude, this is it. This is the shit,
Hell yeah. It's like a superpower, man.
Exactly. And exactly, it's this feeling. It's not violent. As long as you know what you're doing, the other guy knows what he's doing. It's not violent anymore. It's a sport, and we're playing it, and it clicked. And that's when I decided that was what I was going to do.
So you hadn't had any grappling training at all up to that point. No one had put you in a submission hold or like nothing.
No, other than my brother at home, whenever we're wrestling, and he just puts me into a submission hold. That's it.
That's hilarious, man. So then you got bitten by the bug, and you had to. Yeah, the first time you get submitted, that's a transcendental moment. Hey, like when that happens, you're like, oh, this is a thing. Oh shit! It's like realizing that you have this huge deficiency in your technique, and typically the response is either A, I'm never going to do this again, or B, I need to do this every day.
Exactly. I mean, fighting karate, you feel you're confident. I know that when I walk out of the house, I can defend myself, right? Or I can defend my loved ones and all of that, right? So you grow up thinking that yes, I'm a good fighter, and then that's when you walk into the ring, the mixed martial arts ring, and then you come out thinking that, yes, I'm a good striker, but there's so much more in a fight game that I do not know. And I really wanted that. I really wanted to learn everything there was about fighting. And that was just great, man. That feeling was great.
That was similar to my first I think everybody has that kind of first experience of getting submitted, or, specifically MMA, because most people, when they go to MMA, I would say now, or a lot of people have some experience in like one discipline, but then when they see like mixed martial arts and people can start to train multiple disciplines and they feel that, it's very eye-opening. I remember I started out amateur wrestling in the States. That was my first ever thing. And I was pretty confident in grappling, right? And then I remember I had a friend who came over to my house one day, and he was like a yellow belt in jiu-jitsu or something, right? Like he'd done jiu-jitsu for like fucking 2 months or something like that. And so we start wrestling around and I'm way bigger than him, way more explosive, because I did amateur wrestling training, right? So I look like a wrestler, and he just looks like this shit, And so I take him down, I get on top of him, and he starts wrapping his legs around my neck. And I'm like, okay, but I have him pinned, right? Because his shoulders are flat, and I'm on top. So in my head, I'm winning. And then he starts to throw up now what I know is a triangle choke on me, right? And I'm stuck in this fucking thing, and he holds me there for like 4 minutes, and he didn't like choke me out or anything, but I could tell that it was close, and he keeps trying to get his foot behind his knee, but I'm kind of posturing up like that, but my head's going red. And finally, after like 3 minutes, I just tapped out from sheer exhaustion. He didn't even choke me, but then I was like, that was the first time I realized, oh, you can be on your back and beat somebody. It was just like, like mind blown.
Exactly.
And then he told me about the UFC, and I hadn't heard about it really or anything. And of course I was a wrestler, right? I didn't know anything about the UFC. So then I started watching it, and then I see people doing jiu-jitsu, and I see people striking, but there's also wrestling involved in it, which I knew a little bit of. And I was like, from that point on, I was hooked. I did like one more year of wrestling and then stopped. And then I was like, jiu-jitsu, MMA, that was all I did.
I think that's a very important point as well. When you reach that crossroad, whether you're going to do it or not, it's up to you, and in your head, whether it's gonna be like, I don't want to do that again. That was embarrassing. I was helpless. Or,
Yeah.
or it's shit. I gotta do this. I don't know. I don't know what happened, and I gotta learn how to do that. I guess it's that point on where you're gonna fall. What you're gonna do now, what you're gonna pick, what you're gonna choose, and that's very important, I think.
It's very humbling, right? It's very humbling when you first have
Oh,
this experience. And dude, when I first went to class, my instructor was a blue belt. He got his purple belt like a year or two later. And I started jiu-jitsu in 2005. And when I started like a blue belt or a purple belt, that was like a fucking wizard, man. Like nobody could touch them. You would watch them roll and just strangle people, and you'd be like, it was like a superpower that you had to have. You know what I mean? Like, dude,
right.
there were no black belts. There was nothing like that. I mean, I'm a black belt
Yeah.
now, and even then, now maybe there's like 3 or 4 black belts in the whole state that I grew up in, even to this point. So like the concept of a black belt to me was so far beyond what I could even comprehend, because I'm watching this blue belt just wreck people, and to me I'm just like salivating. I wanted it so bad. I was like, I need this power. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and a lot of martial arts, I think, are losing that respect. Especially, I see it happen in karate, because I know kids who can who when how nowadays when kids carry a backpack, and the backpack is a lot bigger than the kid itself, and the kid can't handle it.
Yeah.
A lot of kids today, I see these little guys in karate, and they're all black belts, and I see them, I watch them, I watch them fight, and I see them do their techniques, and it's not up to a level that it was, say, 10-20 years ago, because today it's a little bit more about, hey, you pay me the fees, pay me so much, and yeah, you get your black belt, or you get your brown belt, or whatever. And a lot of that is happening nowadays, and I think it's our responsibility to really make the belts count. I mean, when I remember at one of my BJJ sessions, and there was a blue belt teaching me, and I was like, what is this blue belt gonna teach me? Come on. I mean, I'm a white belt, but you're just a blue belt, because in karate that means nothing. You can't teach it, so but he blew my mind, teaching me so much, right? Just from this one belt up. And I think that every martial art needs to maintain and to preserve that.
Yeah, well, there's no question that the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt is the holy grail of all black belts, because that one everybody knows. Like, that's the beautiful thing about it, is that you can trace the lineage going all the way back to the beginning of the sport, and the integrity of the belt system is very much intact, because the people that go through that grinder and keep training all the way to their black belt, it's like the average amount of time is 10 years. Yeah. When I see these like these 10-year-olds, 12-year-olds rocking like a Taekwondo black belt or a karate black belt, I'm like, man, first of all, it's not reflective of the skill level. But secondly, that belt would mean so much more to them if they were a real master when they got it.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, right? You're taking that away from them in a sense, because like, man, a black belt to me means you're a master. You're
true. Exactly.
I mean, at the very least, you're an expert, right? An expert. And when can a 10-year-old or 12-year-old be an expert at anything? Like,
exactly. And that's at the very least, like you said, at the very least, an expert at something, an expert, right? And yeah, a 10-year-old is never going to be an expert. Not a normal 10-year-old.
So are you still training these days? I mean, we're in the Corona days right now, so nobody's doing shit, but are you still managing to get some training in?
I really want to, right? Every time I try to start, martial arts training, other than that, gym training, I do it all the time. But martial arts training takes a little bit of a little bit more discipline, I think. And no, I have not been doing it, very frankly, because every time I want to start this, I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to go here for a shoot, So it's all of these things, especially with my last fight. You were there with Ahmed, right? I was shooting in Sabah, and I flew back a week before the fight, and I was like, yeah, I got this, I can do it. After having been shooting for, say, a month or so, not training at all, and coming and thinking that, yeah, I can fight a final fight, I can totally do it. And I lost the belt. I mean, I lost the belt. So it's this. So then after walking out the cage, it sort of clicked. I was like, you know what? I have to put a real division if I want to do it. If I want to balance both things, I have to. If I want to act, I have to act. And then the next 6 months is just training and fighting. If you can't take away. I can't take away 1 month or 2 months to go and shoot and then come back here and still expect to win a fight. So it's going to take a lot of discipline. So at this point, I've not been training at all, martial arts at all, other than my own stuff, keeping myself keeping my techniques polished and all of that. But I really want to get back into the ring, man. That's like the goal.
Yeah, see, you're the competitor type. Like I can hear it when you talk. You associate the training almost directly with the competition, whereas I'm the opposite, right? Like competition for me was just something where it was like I've trained so long. If I didn't compete, I'm just an asshole. Like I had to see like how the skills would play out in a real fight. I mean, I don't love fighting or competition or anything like that. For me, it's just a pure examination of my skills in a real situation. So it was like I was very apart from it. Whereas like the training is for the fighting. For me, the training is just for sort of the lifestyle and the mastery of the craft. Because I'm fighting, I could take that shit or leave it, man. Like I don't love getting punched in the face. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. That's the thing you gotta. But yeah, I guess because I started out so early and I started out fighting so early, and it's just the thing that's in me that I train to fight, right? That's the only relationship that I know at this point. But I also realize that at a certain point, and that point is coming up on me real fast. At a certain point
How old are you
life,
now?
I'm 30 this year, man.
Oh shit, dirty 30, dude.
I know. So I know at a certain point it's gonna be just training to live a martial artist's life. That's you're not going to be competing at 45 years old. So,
Bro, you can. There's jiu-jitsu competitions, bro. You can compete in that shit till you're dead.
Oh yeah.
Do like Master 7.
Are crazy. Yeah.
Master 7 at like 65 years old.
Man, jiu-jitsu guys are crazy, man.
So when you were,
I love it.
So you compete, when you were doing the MIMMA finals, you were filming Paskal. Is that what it was?
Yes. So I think it was during the finals or the semifinals or right after the semifinals when I started filming. So I had to choose at that point. I still remember I had to choose if I wanted to continue fighting or I wanted to start a career somewhere else and really try and make it in life. I can fight for the rest of my life, no problem. But you realize that especially here in Malaysia, if you want to be a fighter and that's all that you do, it's not going to be that easy. It's not a straight. I mean, anyway, it's not easy anyway. But if you really want to do it, it's going to take a lot. It's going to take really, really a lot out of you. And I felt it a little bit coming out of the national karate team at 24 years old, at 23, and then at 24 starting MMA. So at 23, when I left the national team, I had no income. I had no place to stay, no food. I had to find all of this myself. So when I was there, I was getting paid. I had a place to stay. I would go downstairs at the cafeteria, eat, and then go training. So that was my whole life, right? Right now, I had to figure everything out on top of finding my own fights, finding my own coach, finding a place to train. All of this is, I had to do everything myself. So I did it. I did it to a certain extent, and maybe even a little bit successful in MMA, in amateur MMA. But I decided when the role for the movie came about, I decided I was like, you know what, I'm going to put MMA on hold for just a while and try and figure my life out, because at that point, this is now I'm 28 years old. That was when I did the movie. I'm 28 years old now, and if I don't have it figured out already, it's going to be really hard, going down. So I had to make that decision. And 2 years later, I'm still here, trying to stick to the decision.
Yeah. Well, dude, I mean, a couple things on that. First of all, you fought a great fight. I mean, I knew people that thought you won that fight. Much. So you and Ahmed had
a really, wow, thank you.
You and my wife thought you won. She was watching it online and everything. Like, it was a really, really close fight for not really training, and considering you were filming a movie, you made a really good account of yourself, man. That was a great fight. Honestly, I would say that's the best fight I've ever seen in Malaysia. Ahmed and I were talking yesterday. I wish they would release the footage of that fight, man. I don't know what the hell they're doing.
I have no idea what they're doing with the footage. Yeah.
Why would you sit on that? The production value was so high. They took all the time to go out and film it and put it in a nice venue and all that stuff just to sit on the footage. Like, content is king, especially right now. Like, release that shit.
Exactly. Yeah, I think it came out on TV. It was live on the day that we fought. But other than that, I think they never released it. Yeah.
Yeah, I would love to see that. I'd love to go back and watch that fight. That would be real interesting.
That would be, man.
You guys had a close fight, man. It was a really, really good fight to watch, and I love the fact that you guys just went out there as friends, like but it was funny because Ahmed yesterday was telling me, he's like, yeah, Theebaan's so nice and he was so cool and everything, and I have to go to a dark place when I fight, so he was like trying to fist bump me, and I'm just like, dude, fuck off, and
I remember that so clearly, because Ahmed and I we're pretty close, right? So during so the whole year, right up to leading up to that fight, the final fight, the whole year when we didn't know we were going to fight each other at the end, we were fine. We were still training with each other, and hug or whatever. After fight, okay, let's go, we're done. Okay, whatever, and it was all okay. And when Ahmed found out that we were going to do the finals together, I remember walking to the gym the next day, and Ahmed was all like, I ain't talking to you, bitch. And it was the funniest thing, man.
And you're just like, bro, what the fuck?
Yeah. It was so funny. I asked him something, and he was very cold about it. Right? He answered me in a really cold manner, and I looked at. I want to say Ehsan. I'm not sure who I looked at, and then he was just like, "It's okay."
You can get a little bitchy sometimes, dude. It's all right.
Yeah, that's when I noticed. Oh yeah, we're gonna fight. So he's getting in the zone. Shit, I need to get in the zone now, but I never did.
Well, he told me on the podcast. He's like, "Yeah, Theebaan was just so nice, and I was trying to get in the zone and go to my dark place." And he was like, "But I felt so bad because Theebaan's awesome and all that kind of stuff." And I'm like, "Yeah." But I was glad you guys went out there and just did it, man. It's awesome. I hate the teammates in Jiu-Jitsu and sometimes in MMA won't compete against each other. And he actually mentioned your karate background being a reason why, because you guys compete against each other for your spot, like on the national team. And it was like that when I wrestled too. You have to wrestle for your spot. If somebody else weighs the same and they're better than you, like, you don't get to wrestle. So you have to train to beat your own teammates for a lot of the year, just to even get your chance to go out and compete against other people. So it's very common. But in jiu-jitsu, they have this thing where they decide they're going to just flip a coin. And I'm like, why you go and strangle each other 6 days a week on the mat for hours a day, and then you can't go out and do it in the competition? Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but that's true. Karate is a very big reason why I do this, because in the national karate team, there would be, in my category, at least in my weight category, that was below 84 kilograms. There was about 2, maybe once in a while 3 of us, right? And there was a big whiteboard right where the head coach would sit. There was a big whiteboard there with a list of all the tournaments, say in the next 3 or 4 months. And if your name makes it on the board, you're doing good, So because, okay, okay, for this tournament, I'm going. For the next tournament, this guy is going. Okay, so I'm doing good. Now, what I want to do is I want to be able to go for all the tournaments. And so I'm competing with my friend, my teammate, who just so happens to be in the same category as I am. So I cannot be holding a grudge with my teammate and, this guy for the whole year. And I just all we want to be able to do is go in there, perform as best as we can, help each other, make both fighters better. And then if you're good enough, your name is on the board. Otherwise, you get to try next year again. But that's it. You just have to fight. Whatever it is, whoever it is, just once you're given the opportunity, just have to fight.
Did you actually have to compete against your teammates for the spot, or did your coach just kind of know who was the better and then would just pick?
Oh, it was a constant competition. So the 8 years that I was with the team, it was constantly, sometimes he would go, sometimes I would go, then the next time he would go. There were so many times where both of us, so I would go for a tournament and for that certain weight category, and my teammate would be there for the team fight. But at the very last minute, he jumps in and I can't fight, because it was a decision by the coaches and the administration. So that happens a lot, and you just have to suck it up and say it happened. I was just not better, and and it's also happened where so in national tournaments, in Malaysian national tournaments, now we are split up, right? So in the national team, all of us come together as one team under the Malaysian team. But now when we're fighting the national championships, we break up, we go back into our clubs or our states, and now we fight again, right, for the national title. And here we fight with each other all the time. We fight against each other all the time. So I fought with my teammates, the guys who are in my category, so many times over and over again even for the medal sometimes. And we're all fine. We walk out of that fine, and that's very important.
Well, you made an interesting transition, man. I never really talked with you much about this, but I used to be an actor too. Did you know that? I actually went to college to be an actor. You didn't know this. You see, I've never
talked
to you.
Wow, yeah, you went to college to be an actor. Shit.
I went to theater school, bro. I went to theater school.
Wow. Yeah. I had no idea, man. Wow, this is crazy.
Yes, I graduated from a school in New York City. It was in Manhattan called AMDA, the American Musical and Dramatic Academy. And, we had to do theater classes and singing classes and film and TV classes and all that kind of shit. And, so I thought it was interesting. Idea. Yeah, I kind of went the other way. I started out doing that, and then I kind of realized, for me, I don't know what your experience was, but for me it was different because in New York, first of all, you have to audition a lot, and the auditioning process in New York is fucking brutal, right? You'll go to these what you can call cattle call auditions, right, where there'll be like 30 or 40 people there, all trying to get like one shitty line in some terrible commercial. And it's just like 30 actors there reading a small line in different ways, from some terrible script. And then you have to go into the audition, and the casting director's like looking at you just like you're a piece of meat. And the process of acting, I really enjoyed. Like when you actually get to do it, that was really fun. And I really enjoyed that. But the process of getting the work was just horrible. And then I had to make a decision, like, am I going to do this for 10 years? Am I going to keep going to these auditions and just feeling the constant judging of going to like auditions over and over and over again for 10 years to get bit parts? And like, for me, the martial arts community was the coolest community I ever saw. Like those people were awesome. Those people like to suffer in their spare time. You know what I mean? There's something awesome about that. There's something awesome about the accountant or the lawyer or the doctor or the fucking the McDonald's worker who in their spare time after doing their job that they're probably underpaid for, that they don't like, goes and strangles each other for fun. You know what I mean? Every day, or goes and punches each other in the face. There's just something that's so pure and so amazing about that. And those people, I could relate to them. And I like made the decision really once I came to Singapore. I was like, okay, I'm just not going to go down that route anymore. I would rather spend my time suffering in a gym than have to suffer these people at these fucking acting auditions and these acting coaches. And God, I don't know how it is in Malaysia, but a lot of these people are so pretentious, and like all they would talk about is like, I didn't get my opportunity. I never got my chance. If I had, this person got this and it was unfair. And it was just, everything was so entitled. And I was like, I just don't think I can suffer this culture for much longer and be happy in my life. But you did the right move. I think you went martial arts to acting. That's the move, bro.
It's a good word.
So what was your experience like, man? You made the right transition.
I mean, I think thank you. I think entitlement is it's a solid word for the case that, what I see sometimes in the acting world. A lot of people just feel entitled to shit that more often than not, you're just not. I mean, everyone is the same. So entitlement is a big thing of why I miss the fighting community so much. Okay. But now going to your question, for me, so I can imagine in New York how bad it is. I mean, the standards of New York and say here in KL, Malaysia, it's just completely, it's so different, right? So for me here, I was absolutely lucky, really, really, really lucky, right? That So in 2014, I did a movie. So way back when I was involved in this Tamil movie that was produced by my karate coach, and he really wanted me to carry the lead character. And I didn't want to do it at that point. At that time, I was still, very much into karate, and I was going to fight and all that. So I was still, in MMA, and I didn't want to do it, but you can't say no to your coach, right? Kind of. So it's that thing where, you have to say yes, man.
Is that why you're doing this podcast
yes,
with
so
me?
I said yes, and I did it.
Is that why you're doing this podcast with me, you son of a bitch?
Oh, no. It's out there. No, dude. Come on.
Nah, just messing with you, bro.
So,
just messing with you.
Yeah, no. It's no. Yeah, no. At that time, because it was something completely different from what I usually do. I usually fight, and maybe every now and then I would take a picture. But other than that, I don't do anything in front of a camera. I was so super uncomfortable in front of a camera, but I did it, and it was kind of a very dark 3 months for me because it was so much going through my head, and just trying to live up to their standards and trying to make this movie was very hard for me to do. But I did it, and the movie came out, and it didn't do too well. I guess because I was the lead character. I don't know, but it came out, and whatever. I forgot about it. I continued fighting, and it just so happened that 4 years later, in 2018, like absolutely randomly, one morning I woke up, someone called me and said, "Hey, we're from this production. We're making this movie. Would you like to come in for an audition?" I was like, how'd you get my number? Like, right? And she was like, "Oh, we watched this movie, this Tamil movie from, it's called Victory. And we watched that movie, and we think you would be solid." I was like, "What? You watched that movie?" I was like, "Okay." So I said, okay. I initially agreed to meeting up and doing the audition, but I thought, so when it was like it was on Saturday, and I thought what I thought was she just made a few calls to a ton of people, and whoever shows up, and she wouldn't miss me if I didn't show up. That's what I thought. And on on Saturday, when I was supposed to be there for the audition, I wasn't there. She called me up and said, "Hey, you're not here." I was like, "Oh, you missed so you really wanted me to be there?" I was like, "Oh no, I felt so bad. I thought, I'm so sorry. I'll be there. Can I come tomorrow?" And then it's like, yeah, you can come tomorrow, whatever time. So I go there the next day. I did my best. That was the first time ever auditioning for anything, right? I went in there, and I did my best. And I think about 2 days later, she called me up and said, "Hey, you got the role." I was like, I was not expecting that at all. Number one, the call comes out of the blue. Number two, I get the role. So I was just, I consider myself super lucky having that to happen at the start, and also for, at the end of the day, the movie turning out to be a really good movie, and the role that I played was also impactful. So all of it sort of came together at the end of the day, and so I consider myself really lucky. Yeah.
Well, man, I think it's what you did is you did the right thing. You don't say no to stuff. I mean, I start to realize that more and more as I get older. Like when these opportunities come for you, even if you think they're a shot in the dark, just do them, because you never know years down the line how this shit is going to play out. You know what I mean? You just never know who's going to see what, So you made the right decision. You did the movie with your karate instructor, and then years later, it ends up paying off for you. And now this is a career for you.
Exactly. And now I can legit say that it is a career. What do you do? I'm kind of an actor right now. That's what I do. I'm involved in the entertainment industry, and it's a blessing, dude.
Dude, not only that, but you're the best kind of actor. You're a martial arts actor. Bro, everybody loves a guy who was like a martial artist first and then became an actor. You're like the OG Malaysian martial arts actor, man. Fuck. That's awesome.
Yeah. I didn't even think of that until people started telling me that. I was like, dude, there is nobody else. Wow,
yeah, man.
This is crazy.
That's pretty good. The Jackie Chan of Malaysia, bro.
I like how you didn't go to Bruce Lee. Thank you very much.
Nah, no disrespect, but
yeah.
So what are you doing these days, man?
I just actually on the 16th of March, I just finished filming another movie, and I came back to KL on the 17th, and on the 18th we're all locked down. So we completed principal shooting already. So right now, for the role, I remember right before that role, my entire body was a mess. I felt sick. My girlfriend was back, and I was like, I am not going to be training for the next 2 months. I'm just going to do whatever I want to do, right? So I wasn't going to the gym at all. I was just eating and doing whatever I want to do. And then 3 weeks before principal shooting started, director was like, hey, Macha, you got to get in shape. Can you do that? I was like, wow.
3 weeks?
Are you kidding? Yeah, are you kidding me? 3 weeks? And so, but I kind of knew that my body was able to, because my body, it knows exactly what it feels like to be fit, to be jacked and 8 packs or whatever. So my body knows exactly what that feels like. And right now, that at that point, I wasn't like super fit. I knew though I could get back there. All I had to do was put in the work, and I did. I put in a crazy amount of work to for the first time in my life, I did diets. I controlled my food, and 3 weeks, man, was all it took. When the first day of shooting started, I had to take my shirt off, and I was ready, and I was like, wow, this shit paid off, man. I was so excited about that. It was one of those accomplishments for me. Like, I'm so excited about just being able to do what I was supposed to do, but after that, right after we finished filming, and now that it's just waiting for things to happen right now. People are calling me already with roles or ads and all of that, so that's a really good thing that is already starting out. But it's not I think it's a very tough time, especially for freelancers and people who are in this industry. It's not, and fighters too. Fighters are suffering, dude. So right now is just doing absolutely nothing and trying to do my own things, coming up with my own businesses and all of that. So right now I think it's the perfect time to do it. So maybe trying to ensure for the next 20 or 30 years, how am I going to live my life? So right now I'm trying to plan that. And other than that, it's just training and push-ups every now and then whenever I want to do it, dude.
Well, that's awesome. I remember following your Instagram story when you were getting a little thick there. And then, a couple weeks later, you showed the pictures of like how much weight you lost in 3 weeks. I was like, damn, man, you were getting a little thick there. What'd your weight get up to?
Actually, I went up to 85, nothing much. I was at 81. I went up to 85, and I was back down to 81 in 3 weeks. So I don't have that much of a weight gain. I never do. I usually lose weight, but I lose weight in definition. So I guess it's the way I eat. Once I stop training, I naturally just kind of reduce my eating as well. It's just that my body doesn't need that much anymore. So I never got that fat. That was
what kind of roles are you getting cast in? Because I know that, dude, when I went to so I graduated from the acting college in New York, and then like a couple years later I moved to St. Lucia, which is a Caribbean island, and I got contacted by a casting director there who was doing it was basically a soap opera, right? Like a South American telenovela, right? And so he wanted to cast me because basically I had an acting background and he wanted a white dude, right? So he cast me as like this evil villain. I always get cast as evil people. And I got cast as like the white, rich villain who was coming to the island to like take all the natural resources and shit like that. And they would always try to put me in these like action scenes and shit like that. So are you getting a lot of the shirtless action scenes? Is that?
Oh yeah. I get. So the first one was the first ever movie was a fight movie. So action. The second movie, which is Paskal, which is the one I just did, Paskal, was also an action movie. So because I can fight a little bit, I guess. So I was in that. And then I did another one where I played the villain. That was my first villain ever.
That's the most fun, dude.
Playing a villain.
That's the most fun.
Yeah, really.
I love it. Cast me as a bad guy all day.
Yeah, you get to you get to experiment with with the different things, and it's really up to you how you want to play the villain sometimes. The good guy is just the good guy, but the villain has a lot of you can be good at times, you can be bad at times, and you can be anything. So when I did that taught me a lot of because I was with a really, really experienced cast as well. That movie is not out yet. It's supposed to come out this year. So
what's that one called?
Anytime soon. It's called J Retribusi. So the first one was J Revolusi, which means J Revolution, and the second one is J Retribusi, which is Retribution. So yeah.
So are these Tamil movies?
And there's another one. No. Ever since Paskal, it's all been Malay movies.
Okay.
So Paskal was Malay. This one is J Retribusi is Malay, and the one that I just filmed. It's called Paskal. It's a comedy. For the first time, I did a comedy.
Nice.
And my role, the character that I play is, like I said, topless half the time, which is why I had to get in shape.
Yes.
So yeah, that's the kind of things that we get, the topless guys or the fit guys or the guys who can fight. But it's okay, I think. It's very fun to do.
Yeah, dude, if you're having fun, flex them while you got them. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. And yeah, I'm 30 this year. I should flex him while I got him.
Yeah, I'm 31, man. 32 at the end of the year. Time's starting to slip by.
End of the year, you're 32?
Yeah, end of the year, I'm 32.
Okay. But anyway, did you take the roles? You did the movie, the one in St. Lucia?
Yeah. No, it's a full drama, like a full telenovela. You can find it. I showed it to
I can? Awesome, bro. Dude.
No. You could find it. Bro, it's so embarrassing. Oh my God. Because it's like South American cheesy ass soap opera. Like, have you ever seen a telenovela?
I have. Back in I forgot what. Oh, Maria Mercedes. That's the one I saw.
Yeah, that's exactly what you're talking about. Bro, they're fucking insane. Yeah, I did
Really?
take the role. It was fun to do, man. It certainly is not going to win anybody any Oscars or any shit like that. But that was like my first actual like paid gig after I got out of acting school, which was kind of cool. And I enjoyed the process, man. That's exactly what it is. It's a process. And you now are getting some experience in front of the camera. Like, if you keep going down the route, just like anything else, you're going to improve. Do you have an acting coach or anything like that? Did they give you one on set?
No. We didn't have an acting coach, although, especially with Paskal and the other movies that I did as well, the cast and the director has always been super hands-on with if I have a question and if I don't know how to do a certain line, or with my face especially, because fighting was easy, man. Fighting was, you train yourself for 3 months, 4 months, and then you jump into a ring and you do whatever it is that you can do, everything that you know how to do, just vomit it all over the mat, and you most probably you'll win. But now in acting, I had to do all these stunts, but I also at the same time I had to maintain a certain facial expression and also a certain level of handsomeness that you have to maintain for all of this. So and on top of that, you have to remember your dialogues. So it was, at least, at the beginning of it was so stressful for me to juggle all of this, and I couldn't do it all because it was hard and I just wasn't used to it. But the guys on set and the directors, sometimes they would I'll just go like, hey, how do I, and I don't care, I can just ask a question. If I really need help, I'll just be like, hey, I don't know how to do this, can you help me? And every single time I did that, every single time I asked for help, there was always someone to help me. And that, whether it's the more experienced actors or if it was the director or whoever it was, so that's why I never had an acting coach, but I had all of these guys who helped me do whatever I want to do now. But along the way, right now, I can sort of, I come up with my own ideas when I'm watching a movie or any movie that I'm watching, and I see something nice, I see something interesting, even if it's a facial expression or whatever, I pause the movie, I turn to my mirror and I try and do the same thing. It's just trying to learn. And it's the same thing as fighting was, it's just practice. And you want to be the best that you can be. You don't want to just be another, oh yeah, he's got a good body and that's why he's an actor, and when it comes to it, you don't have substance at all. I don't want to be that guy. I want to, I was a good fighter, whatever, but now I'm doing this. And when I'm doing this, I don't want to be ashamed of it. and I really want to be able to do my best, and I want people to say that, hey, you did a very good job in that role. So I really want to learn, and most probably somewhere down the line I will be getting an acting coach or something like that, but at this point not yet. I just maybe not up to that level yet.
Well, it's different, right? Because that's what I appreciate about martial arts too, is that, you know, martial arts are very direct. Like, you want to be better at jiu-jitsu, you want to be better at kickboxing, karate, you go, you train every day, they teach you the techniques, and then you start to go through the process of refining those techniques down to a level of mastery, right? With something like acting, it's first of all, it's extremely subjective. Everybody wants something slightly different. And secondly, it's very hard to actually train that skill. I mean, you know, even when I was acting, the thing that the only real practical advice I ever had was master your lines. Because if you think of your lines like a jab or something, right? The only way that you can master a jab is by thousands of repetitions. If you go up there and you're still struggling to remember your lines or something like that, it's going to be impossible for you to execute. If those lines are in you and you've internalized them, then you can be free for your self-expression, just like with your jab. If your jab is labored, you haven't put enough effort into your jab or your stand-up, like let's say you're striking. Whenever you've done it for enough years and your body has mastery over it, then you can release and be free and flow and be artistic and really express yourself differently than everybody else, right? We all learn how to do a 1-2 the same way. But when you've mastered the art of stand-up, or you're very, very good, then you can put your own style into that 1-2 that makes yours different than everybody else's. And it's, I think, similar with the acting to a certain degree. Once, if you have those lines mastered so that they're totally internalized and you don't have to think, then it can come out in a way that's sort of uniquely you, and you can start to put different spins on it and get but the real thing is just like anything else, discipline. And you can take that martial arts training that you've got in the years and years that you spent understanding the concept of mastering a craft and apply it to fucking anything, you know, if you just put time into it.
Exactly. That is perfect. You know, so the lines are the first thing that you have to be able to do is the lines. But taking reference to the last movie that I did, where I had to take my shirt off all the time, I remember in the three I remember in the 3 weeks that I had to prepare for this thing, I was constantly in the gym, and I knew what I had to do. I was in the gym twice a day. I also knew in the back of my head that if I do not come out of this with exactly what I want and exactly what the director is happy with, the physique that I'm happy with, every time I have to take up, I will definitely not lose the role, the role itself, because it's so, you know, we're going to start shooting already in 3 weeks, but it's going to be that every time I take my shirt off, I'm going to lose a little bit of confidence, like, oh no, I'm just not there yet. I know I'm not there yet. And so with your mind preoccupied with, say, you know, you forgot your lines, or just that your mind is so preoccupied with my body, what I'm supposed to do, I haven't done what I'm supposed to do yet. And I guess that will completely affect your performance as an actor. You know, you want to be able to perform and be completely free with your expression and emotions. But if you have something in your mind saying that, hey, dude, come on, you're not there yet. And I'm that kind of a person. If I'm not there yet, it will really nag in my head, right? And so I knew I had to do all of this fundamental work if I wanted to go there and just be completely free and do whatever that I want to do, especially seeing that this is a comedy, and in a comedy you're able to express yourself a lot more. And I was so excited that I did all of this homework. I read my scripts every day, because when I got on set, it was the most amount of fun I've ever had shooting. You know,
awesome.
I was able to do so much, just really do whatever I wanted to do, free myself. And if I wanted to make a fool out of myself, make a stupid expression, the director wasn't going to be, you know, it wasn't going to say no. So I could do anything I wanted to do. And I know I did it all well because of all of this discipline and confidence that martial arts has given me, I think.
Yeah, that's very well put. And it's one of those things, right? Like, even in life in general, everybody's willing to take a loss if they knew they did the best that they could and they put the work in, the subsequent work necessary to do the task. Like, you know, if I lose a fight and someone's better than me, but I show up in shape, I put the training in, then it's like, dude, you just got beat that day. Like, that shit happens all the time in life. But if you go and you show up and you're out of shape and you just signed up for this, and then, you know, even though the result may be the same, you know, in your head exactly what happened there, right? Because it's losing to someone else is one thing, but losing to yourself, that's the one that fucking sucks, right? Like when you let yourself down, because you not living up to your potential is probably the worst feeling that you can have, I think, as an athlete, as a person, as a man, any of that shit, like not living up to your own potential and the expectations that you have for yourself. So if you got everything in order and then you go and you do the damn thing and you make mistakes, then it's all good. Just don't, be proud of yourself and the work that you put in, and just put the fucking work in, number one.
Yeah, I think, especially when you see I don't want to be mean here, but those people who there's a certain group, a certain faction of people who go into the gym and selfies all day, and that's it. You're out of the gym, and your whole gym program is not like a solid gym program. I mean, you're spending the time to go all the way to the gym, and you want to make a difference, okay, in your life, but you end up going there and just telling the world that you're in the gym, but not really learning and putting in the work. I guess it comes down to that, where if I'm already here now, what do I want to do with it? I'm going to make every second of the 2 hours or the 1 hour that I'm here, I'm going to make it count, right? And so now, if I do that, at the end of the day, when I get to what I'm supposed to do, when I go and get on set or get into the ring, wherever it is, I know that I can. Whatever I do there is because I had spent all of this time trying to make that day a successful day, right? And if I don't make it, I'm just not good enough, Like in 2013, I lost. I was in the finals of the SEA Games in Myanmar, and I lost the fight 1-0 to he was like this guy, Omar Sharif. Coincidentally, he just posted a picture of me and him of that fight today, like this morning when I woke up.
So it's fresh in your mind.
Yeah, so it's fresh in my mind, right? So I remember I trained for that fight, and it came up to the finals, and this guy was like wrecking through the whole category, right? Everybody he beat was so in karate, if once you get to 8 points, once there's a difference of 8 points, whatever the numbers are, but if there's a difference of 8 points, you automatically win the fight. If it's 8-0 or if it's 9-1, whatever it is, you win the fight. And that's what he was doing to the entire category. He was demolishing everybody, right? And comes to the finals, and he sees me in the finals, and he won the fight. He won 1-0. He won 1-0. But I wanted to do a few things differently, a few things, but I knew on the day when I lost that fight 1-0, I knew I had put everything in it because I tried everything I could. And this guy is like world ranking guy, he has been around, and he has fought world championships, and he has won them before. And he's a super experienced fighter, a little bit older than I am. And I knew that I had done everything, but I also knew that the next day there was a chance that I would fight him again, because in the team fight, where it's 5-on-5, and every you go one fighter, right? So if you get to 3 fighters and your team won all 3 guys, you win automatically. But if you don't, you go up to 5 fighters, right? And so when we were fighting Indonesia in the finals as well, so it was Malaysia against Indonesia, now 5-on-5, and so you have to set up your fighters not knowing how they have set up their fighters, right?
Oh, okay.
So who goes first, who goes second, who goes third. Now they're going to do their own thing, and you're going to do your own thing. So it's a lot of strategy involved here, because kind of, sort of, the third fighter is almost always the guy who's going to carry all that weight. Because if the first 2 guys lose, the third guy has a lot of pressure. If the first 2 guys win, the third guy still has a lot of pressure, So I was the third guy. I don't know why, right? But because I was the third guy, this guy, the same guy that I had lost the day before, I had lost to him, he was the third guy as well. And so it comes up to me now. Now, I am definitely going to fight him. And I remember starting that fight. I wanted to start that fight completely different of how I had started the previous fight. The previous fight was how I always start my fights, super slow, trying to see what you do, and then building around that. So this second fight, I remember I wanted to go in there. I just wanted to beat him. I just wanted to, shock everything, just like shock the whole thing, and then maybe try and win the fight. So So I think the first minute of the fight, I scored a kick on his head. So it was 3-0 now. I was like, yes, 3-0. All I have to do is hold this lead and I can win this guy, right? And the pressure, I tell you, for everyone outside shouting at you and you in your head knowing what you have to do. I mean, everyone outside is like, no, don't do this. Your coach is on the outside saying, dude. I'm like, I'm leading. Don't pressure me.
You're just like, oh my God.
Yeah, but there's a lot going on in that fight. I lost the fight 5-3, but so he eventually was able to score 5 points against me, which is something I'm super disappointed with until now, up until right now. So but it
do you think it's because you tried to sit on the lead rather than attacking still? What do you think was it?
It was definitely in the middle of the fight where I lost confidence, right? So once I got that 3 points already, I knew what I was going to do, and I let everything that was going on around me, I let that mess with my head, because the way that I was fighting on that day was completely different from the way that I usually fight. So how I usually fight is, like I said, I start slow and I build up from there. And with a fighting style like that, I'm super confident, nobody can mess with my head. But going into that fight, I wanted to, because the way that I usually fight didn't work the day before against this same guy that I'm going to fight now. So I wanted to change everything up, there's no use me bringing the same strategy going in there again and just trying a bit harder. I didn't want to do that. So I wanted to change everything. But having changed everything, when there's all of this negative feedback, I let it mess with my head. And then I lost the fight. But I'm also happy with the fact that I was able to change. I had enough experience and I had enough training for me to be able to change from one strategy completely to a different strategy all by myself, and then go in there and prove that at the first fight, I got 0 points against him, and now I have 3 points against him. That was my takeaway from that. And you just have to be able to manipulate your own skills like that.
Well, I think you're definitely one of the reasons that you're for sure going to be successful in life is, I've seen you at the gym. When you used to come train, whether we were doing jiu-jitsu or Muay Thai, you're an active learner. And that is the number one thing. I teach kids and I teach adults and I teach all these things. And the number one thing for, I think, young kids is, first of all, learning how to lose. Everybody wants to win.
Yeah.
Learning how to lose is the number one and most important skill for any young athlete. I don't care whether you're 5 years old, whether you're 20 years old, because nothing sucks worse than a bad loser. There's nothing worse to see than somebody who can't handle an L, right? Because it's like, dude, the whole nature of what you're doing in competition is winning, losing, learning how to lose, and then learn from that loss so that you can improve. The mechanism is built into the structure, right? If you're trying to compete, nobody's undefeated 100% of the time, ever. So how you learn to come back from your losses and being a good learner is the number, I would say, it's the number one factor for being a successful adult, is learning how to lose. And, when you used to come at clinch, and whether we're doing jiu-jitsu, whether we're doing Muay Thai, we're doing MMA, I love watching you train, because, even if you and I are rolling, we would roll, you would ask questions. You're very active with learning. You never got upset at anyone. If I put you with younger people, smaller people, with the girls, you didn't get mad. Sometimes you get higher level people that come in the gym. They don't want to train certain people. They're like, they think they're better than these other people. It's like, dude, you were a fucking movie star, MIMMA champion, one of really successful martial artists, and I could put you with Amina, the girls. I could put you with D. I could put you with B. I could put you with anybody, and you're not pissed. You're not angry. You accept the fact that you can both teach them, learn something from them, and you were always a very positive person to train with, who would ask questions and never felt or acted like they were superior in any way. And if you can do that, dude, I don't care who you are, you're going to get pretty far in your life. I think that's the number one factor for people being successful in life, is being able to accept that, and just not that elitist shit. And you never have any of that, which is why I think a huge part of your personality that people are attracted to.
Thanks, man. That was definitely instilled in me growing up in karate. Karate, my coach was like, he used to talk to us so much about exactly what martial arts is. Before that, going into karate, I was just like, it's fighting, and even up until now, when people come and ask me, hey, why are you fighting? It's so violent. It's not about that. It's about the lessons that we have learned all of these years being in a martial art, it's not just my relationship with fighting anymore. It's my relationship with my whole life and how I handle everything around me. The way you want to think about things, the way you want to approach it. If you have a problem, there's absolutely no use if you sit down and go like, oh, no, 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 no. I mean, you can throw a fit, no problem. People would look at you and like, what the hell is wrong with you?
Yeah.
Or you can just, go in and say like, okay, let's do it. Let's just blast this shit right now and we'll see what happens. I think everybody needs to learn how to do that.
Yeah, how you handle your losses. And it's just so important, right? Yeah, because I'm sure you've been at these competitions and I've seen both. The worst one you see is parents who can't handle seeing their kids lose. That's almost worse than seeing a young kid. Like, if you see a 6-year-old, a 10-year-old lose and they're grappling with a lot, right? I mean, it's emotional when you lose. Nobody likes to lose. And when you see a young kid struggling with, this sort of like this self-reflection of I wasn't good enough and, they put in work still too. So you can kind of relate to that. But when you see like parents do it and you think, man, you're sending the wrong message to your kids here. Like, I don't mind any of my kids ever losing as long as they do it with dignity. But as soon as you see like parents do it, then I'm going to look at that kid and I just know that kid's going to be that way throughout their life. If they pick that shit up from their parents or from their coaches, coaches do the same thing too. Coaches are so hyper competitive that like, it's like, okay, like that's all good to a point, but you can't live like that. You got to be able to grow out of that shit. And I really like training with you because, and all the clinch people, man, they were all great. Malaysia, just in general, like that was such an amazing group of people. God, I miss everybody from shout out to the clinch people out there. I see it behind you, bro.
Guys.
I see that thing behind you.
Oh yeah, it's right here. Actually, that's a reflection of it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So this was my first fight ever. So when I was really trying to get into fighting, right? Sorry, I'm jumping off topic here.
No, go for it.
When I first tried to get into fighting, I remember I told you that I went for my first fight without having a coach, without having a gym or anything like that. The main point was because when I left the national karate team, I had like maybe 200 ringgit in my bank account. Okay. And I had no money. I had absolutely no money to go into an MMA gym and pay like, I don't know, a lot of money. I have no idea how much it costs nowadays, but pay a lot of money to do this. So I knew I had no money to do that. And I also knew that all I had to do was go somewhere and, just perform as best as you can. And I guess someday someone will pick you up. It's like, hey, come over to I knew how it all worked. So I knew there was an opportunity for that to happen. And that was what I had my fingers crossed for. And clinch, they came up, they stepped up. And after they saw me fight, they were like, hey, you know what? Can you come just train with us? I was like, of course I will come and train with you. That was why I'm doing all this, right? And my first finals ever, when I fought Adrian Tan, that was the banner that they made for me. And I have such an emotional attachment to the banner of my first fight. I have no idea why, right? Because it was sort of that you wanted to do that and you did it, and right now that's the proof that I have that I did it. I mean, what I mean by did it was having someone to sponsor to be able to sponsor my training,
have faith in you enough to give you that chance, and then give you the banner. Yeah.
Exactly. The chance was all that I wanted. I just wanted someone to give me that chance, and I knew I could do it. Right. So
I love my last banner too. Actually, Ahmed, Ron, and Steven made my banner for my most recent fight when I fought at SSC, and it's fucking ridiculous, and I love it. It's like a picture of me that they took outside, and I'm kind of like flexing a little bit. And there's like flames going on in the background. It looks like it's made right from a 1980s action movie. They crudely pasted aviators onto my head. And my last name is Leisure, right? Leasure. And they put my fight name Lucas P in quotation marks Leisure. So it says Lucas Pleasure. And it's got a fucking eagle in the background, and it says like All American Muscle on it. It's ridiculous, right? It's just so over the top and ridiculous, and I fucking love it.
Was that the goal? Was that the goal, to be ridiculous? I mean, like the banner?
I guess. I have no idea. I didn't even know they were doing it. And then they showed up with this thing, and I'm like, that's the most ridiculous shit I've ever seen, and I love it. So now my name is Lucas Pleasure from this point on. All American Muscle.
I have never thought of your name that way. I mean, I knew Lucas
No one
Leisure, but
had.
I never put the P in front of it.
Yeah, no one had. I don't know who came up with
Yeah.
that. They presented that to me like the day before the fight, and I was like, I'm so happy that you guys did this for me, and I still have it.
Oh,
I want to hang it up at the gym, but it's so ridiculous. I don't know if I can get away with it.
I think you can. Yeah. If it has emotional attachment to it, come on, do it. You have to do it.
Yeah, that's a great story, man. It's weird, those little things that you get that like sense memory to, right? And you can almost like go back to that spot, and then how much
Oh,
those
yeah.
little things mean to you that you would never think that they would mean so much to you later on.
Yeah, exactly. Even for my karate time, my karate days, I have my karate belt and my karate gi stored exactly where I want it to be, right there, because I cannot find it in me to go give it. I want to give it away to the guys who need it more than me now, the guys who are competing right now. I just can't find it in me to take it
Yeah.
and go and give it to these guys, but so it's small things.
Well,
I
keep
guess.
that one. If you want to help buy him a new one, keep that one, man. That's for you.
Of course, yeah. I'm definitely keeping it. I'm not going to give it away, but yeah, I might buy them a new one. That's a good idea.
Or a used one, whatever, man. Just you
Yeah,
keep yours.
yeah.
That's personal.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's for me to keep all my life.
So what's the plan for you moving forward, man? How do you think this thing's going to work out for you the next couple years? What do you see yourself doing?
um, I wanted to fight this year. I got a call last year. Oh my God, I got a call from Karate Combat. Okay, and that was what I wanted. Have you seen Karate Combat? Have you watched their fights?
Is that the one where they fight inside like the bowl almost?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have
With
seen
the
that.
with the gi pants and the belt, right?
And they do like
So
sweeps and shit too, right? Like you can kick, you can punch. It's like in MMA gloves, and can't you trip each other and stuff like that too?
yeah, so it's everything karate. It's karate rules. Karate rules. You can also trip and you can do a takedown as well. But I think after the takedown, you have like 5 seconds to do whatever you want to do, and then you get stood up again.
Including
So
submissions?
no submissions.
But striking on
No
the ground is
submissions.
legal.
Striking on the ground
Okay,
is
okay.
legal. Yeah, but not in sport karate. So in Karate Combat it is. And they called me up end of last year, and it's like, hey, there might be something. Do you want to do it? Because I put in an application for Karate Combat, right? I said, hey, I would love to join you guys, and they got back to me. Problem is, I was supposed to be shooting beginning of that year itself, then the next year itself. So all that whole thing fell through. But for the rest of, and then I've been wanting to pick it up again and just wanting to go back to fighting again. But things have been coming up, and I'm not complaining at all. Things are coming up, and the reason why I keep choosing something else over the fight is because I know what I have to do right now. There's a certain plan in place. I know how much of money I want to make and the kind of name that I want to make for myself as well. But right now, this year, I have 2 movies coming out, and I think I will be shooting another movie this year that may be releasing next year. I'm not very sure yet. But so right now, the movie scene for me is looking very very promising. So I want to be able to do all of this first, or rather, really accomplish whatever I want to do right here. And then, if I have 6 months, I'm sure I can find 6 months or maybe 4 months to slip away and try and pick up a fight somewhere. That's the plan. That's a very rough plan. I don't have a more detailed plan yet. But right now, as it stands right now, I know I just want to fight at least 1 or 2 more times to see what I can do. And I'm not done, dude. I'm not done. I kind of stopped. I kind of retired, a sort of thing, with a loss. And after the loss, there's so much that goes through my head every day. I'm like, I could have done this part of the fight. I could have done it this way. I could have done it this way. Wow, I could have. Oh my God, I could have done it this way. So these ideas keep coming to my head until today, and I want to be able to go out there and put to rest all of this once and for all. Like, yeah, okay, I did it all. I really did what I wanted to do, and right now I can focus on acting and the entertainment stuff. But as it stands right now, I'm going to be in the entertainment industry for as long as I can see. Yeah.
Well, that's good, man. Dude, you got plenty of time. You don't have to, like, you can do
Yeah.
your acting, do your entertainment now. You got years. Those fights are going to be there. Like, there's always fucking competitions going on. There's always shit that you can do.
Yeah, I think that's what I have to understand to start to live with. Like, you know what, your high level competition days are coming to an end. most probably over already, and you can still compete. I can still do a ton of competitions out there. It's just not at the highest level, most probably not. I just have to come to terms with that, and that'll be fine. And that everybody has to come to terms with that someday. The top fighters in the world, they have to someday put on their gloves and say, you know what, I'm done. I have to do something else right now. And that's the thing that was in my head. Once I put my gloves down, what was I going to pick up? Was I going to just open another gym, become a coach, or what did I really want to do? And that's actually when I decided to do the movie, because I wanted to completely branch out. I want to be able to go somewhere else and then come back here, because when I used to train at the national karate team, I would every day while we start training at 6 a.m. and at 9 a.m. I'm off to school. And that was sort of the perfect, how do I put it? It was perfect for me because it would take my mind away from the fight. I mean, instead of being a fighter, you go for training in the morning. You have the whole afternoon to think about it. You go for training again in the evening, and then you have the whole night to think about it. And then you go back in the morning. That was very heavy for me. I used to do that, but that was very heavy for my head. So going to training in the morning and then going to school after that, doing whatever science that I was doing, and then going back to training, that was so for my mind, for the health of my mind, that was really, really necessary, and that's what I really wanted as well. So I want to fight, but I also want to be able to go back at the end of the day and just do something completely different, entirely different for a while, so that my mind can rest for a second and then go back and get new ideas for fighting. So that's very important. That's the balance that I need, and I guess everybody is different. I'm sure everybody is different, but I found what was perfect for me, and that was the balance that I liked.
Well, you're still young in this whole thing, man. Like, I mean, this whole last 2 years must have been a complete whirlwind for you in terms of like this new career kind of starting to show itself. And then you're trying to transition from an old career into a new one. But, the thing about starting martial arts when you're young, like you were, is that shit is in you. It's almost in your DNA. Like you're a competitor, right? There's a part of your life, I feel like, that you're never going to be able to divorce completely from martial arts from, which you shouldn't. But you have this new kind of interesting thing that's also popping up at the same time. And you'll find a way to balance it, dude. Like a couple years down the road, you'll get a workflow going that starts to make sense. You'll be able to decide how much free time that you want. I'll tell you what you could do, man. You could be a damn good podcaster. Fuck yeah, you'd have a great career in podcasting, man. I'll tell you what.
Oh wow.
This thing for me is, I think this is for me is what flexes those acting muscles that I wasn't using for so many years, because I did that for years. That was what I mean, from the time that I was 16 till I was 21, that was pretty much all I was doing and still training. And then I didn't do it for years, and I started to get the itch, not to like perform, but for me, this is the perfect medium, because I feel like in like a sort of modern society, you miss a lot of this, right? This, like we were talking about before the podcast, nobody just sits down for an hour and a half and just talks human to human. Like you're checking your phone, you got this shit going on. You got to go here. You got to go here. You got to go there. And I just miss that human connection of just getting to sit down with somebody, talk to them for an hour and a half, really getting to expand on stuff. Because, if you have even a dinner date, like with your friends or your family, you get max like 10 or 20 minutes of direct contact. Dude, when was the last time you done this? You sat down with this long and talked to somebody?
I don't think, I've never done it. I don't think so.
And I've never even done it with you. Like even when you come
exactly.
This is the most I've ever got to talk with you, and it's fucking awesome. So for me, this kind of flexes those entertainment muscles a little bit, but I just get to go so much deeper with like who people are. Like I just let you talk, and then I get to respond, and we just get to sit here and kind of bond through fucking Zoom. You know what I mean? Zoom. and bro, you've got a great personality, a lot of charisma. You could definitely do a podcast, and I think a lot of people would be interested in it. We'll see how this one goes once we post it out there, but I bet you people don't like it.
I hope so. It's funny that you bring it up, because I've been contemplating opening my own YouTube channel for a very long time.
Oh, you should totally do it, bro. You should
I really want to, but it's procrastination, and I am super big on procrastination. I procrastinate absolutely everything. So I guess it's one of those things.
But you know what it is? It's like even this podcast, man. So I've been talking about doing this podcast since like 2016. I think
Oh, wow.
I did a podcast in 2016. It lasted like 7 episodes. And then I kind of fucked off of it, got lazy and all that kind of stuff. And it just sat there in the back of my mind for years. And I felt the same way. I was like, oh, am I ever going to do this? And eventually, you know, whatever that thing is in your head just snaps and you're like, I'm fucking doing it now. I don't care what the reason is anymore. And if it's sitting there in the back, you'll probably get around to it. You got a lot of stuff going on, but you could totally have a successful YouTube channel. You're really great in front of the camera. You're awesome to talk to. You could put some martial arts techniques on there that would be sick.
Oh, wow. That would be sick. Yeah.
And then,
thanks, man. I would try it. Yeah.
And, you know, you could do shit like merchandise and all that kind of stuff. Once you start a YouTube channel or a podcast, like then you can start a merchandise store and start getting some revenue that way. And yeah, dude, you could definitely make it work, I think. And the best part about that is it's on your terms. You get to choose the content. You get to choose what you talk about, what you want your image to be, what you want your sort of digital footprint to be, as opposed to like a movie where those are great, but you're kind of bringing somebody else's image to life, which is awesome still too. But when you can do it your own way, there's something special about that.
Yeah, and if it's not working and you notice that it's not working, you have the ability to tweak a little bit every way that you think needs to be changed, and you know, do exactly what you want to do, and put it out there. Yeah, that's true. I would do it.
even like I'm a procrastinator too, dude. Even like once the coronavirus stuff started to happen, I basically didn't podcast for like 3 weeks because I didn't know if we were going to do it, and then I always do it face to face with somebody. I've never done. I did Ahmed yesterday, and I did one with Matt Polino previously a couple of days before that. So only this week I started getting back into it. But before that, I was just all these excuses in my head, like, well, I can't get anybody here, and I'm thinking of all these reasons why I don't need to do. The video quality is not as good. I don't like. You can just go through the things in your head over and over and over again. And then finally, I was like, fuck it. I don't care if it sucks. I don't care what happens. I just got to stay consistent with it, or I'm not giving it. Same thing like we were talking about with your fight. You think what could have been. There's all these reasons not to do something. All this psychology. You talk yourself reasons why you're not going to do something. Ultimately, even if that happens, the only thing you can really be disappointed in is not doing something. It's better to do something poorly than not do it at all.
Exactly. And the reasons that come into your head, the reasons that pop into your head, they sound super legit, right? At the time, you know, they're like, yeah, that makes total sense. I cannot do it because of that reason, you know, but it comes down to, you know, I'm just going to do it. If it fails, it fails. I'm going to try everything that I can, you know, and that's true.
And always when you think back, like your excuses that inner dialogue that you have with yourself, they're so stupid. It's like,
exactly. Yeah.
All of the
Why did I listen to myself at that time? You know, it made sense then. It doesn't make sense now.
It's, you know what it is, dude? It's that same voice that happens. Like I try to tell this to people who come to the gym all the time, who are trying to work out, trying to lose weight. That little conversation you have with your inner bitch, like right before you're about to work out, where you're thinking of all the reasons why you don't want to work out. Like, oh, this is going to suck. I could do it later. I'm feeling a little sore today. I don't know. I have this thing. Like every time, I mean, you've been working out for how long? Do you still get that conversation? That shit never goes away. It never goes away.
Yeah, it's always there. And every day I wake up, I'm like, is it going to go away today? No, it's still there. You know, up until now, I still struggle to get out of bed and go start working out because I'm doing it at home now, and I have to come up with my own shit and, you know, makeshift pull up and makeshift whatever. But you know, it comes down to just getting up and doing it. But that nagging thought is always there. It's always going to be like, oh, maybe tomorrow, dude, not today. You know?
So I get all these students that like, oh, when is it going to feel good? I'm like, never. It's never going to feel good. It's always going to suck. You know, it's like the Buddhists have one thing right. Existence is suffering. Deal with it. When you go toward the suffering, dude, when you gear your life toward the suffering, that's when you're going to find the good shit. That's where it's at, man. You just gotta accept that. You know what I mean?
True, dude. That's so true, man. Yeah. it just never goes. Whatever. I guess even if you're doing your own thing, or if you're working for somebody else, or whatever it is that you're doing, it's always gonna be there. You know, even if you get the if you're gonna go, like recently I started cooking as well because there's nothing else to do nowadays, right? And every night I'm like, oh, dude, you gotta go cook. Oh, if you don't cook, you don't have a meal. So okay, you know, now you have to go cook. You know, but you find you find once you, like, I make chapati, I make a sick chapati. Once I'm rolling the bread, I find it so therapeutic, and you find certain small things in that whole process that will make you feel nice, and that's just what you got to latch on. That's what I do. I latch on to those things, and it sort of helps me with that whole thought process before.
Well, one thing that helps me too is I found this to be true, at least for me, is that almost all of the resistance toward something that you want to do only exists leading up to the actual activity itself. Like, for example, Ahmed and I were talking yesterday about fighting, right? When are you the most nervous? Is it when the punches are flying, or is it the walk to the cage?
Oh, no. The walk to the cage.
Yeah.
Dude, the walk to the cage.
Right? It's like when you're actually, like, you're bred, right? Like, only having the conversation with yourself leading up to the activity is difficult. Once you're in the process of making the bread, once you're in the gym doing the training, like, that shit goes away. And when the actual process itself is therapeutic and it starts to feel good. And that's the feeling that you need to appreciate. But getting there, that's where all of the resistance lies. So if you can just figure out how to navigate yourself from wanting to do something to actually getting there, then the process becomes really, really easy. It's like the fighting, man. Like, when the punches are flying, you're not even really scared during the process, but God, leading up to it, you want to fucking kill yourself. You're like, why am I here? This is so stupid. I've made a horrible decision with my life.
We all know it. Yeah. Once the punches are flying at you, it's almost automatic what's happening because you've been training it your whole life. But that walk to the cage, you've never trained it before. And it's like, oh no.
That's when that inner bitch voice is at its loudest, and you're just like, go away, please.
Yeah, I know. But it's once everything is done, once you're done with the fight, and the moment you're walking out, win or lose, it's the greatest feeling ever. You put everything, you put your 100% there, and now you're walking away, win or lose, whatever,
And you sacrifice something, and that's, I think, the ultimate thing. Win or lose, you went out there, you tried, you sacrificed a part of yourself for that activity, and then you can kind of appreciate what you've done. But it's getting there is the key. If you can get there, for most people, you'll be fine. If you can consistently get there, that's the secret to life.
Yeah, that's world champion.
Yeah, that's it, baby. All right, man. Well, I was going to try and sneak attack you with Ahmed coming on the call, but he told me he had a meeting. Because I know. We talked about it yesterday.
Supposed to be here.
We were gonna sneak attack you and just chat for a little bit.
I wouldn't have expected it. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Okay. I was like, come in, like, the last, I think when 3 people go on a Zoom call, it limits it to 40 minutes. So I was like, I'll come in near the end of the podcast, and the 3 of us can just sit there and talk shit. And he was really excited about that, but he told me he got called into a work meeting or something like that. So we'll try and set it up another time.
Yeah, maybe. Let's do that. This is fun, man.
Fun, right? Let's do it again.
Yeah, totally.
Bro,
I'm totally up for it.
It's
not like I'm doing anything.
Absolutely. That's why this is the perfect time. We're all just sitting around doing fuck all anyway.
Yeah, exactly, man.
All right, man. Well, I'd love to do one face-to-face for sure sometime. And for you, bro, definitely, open invitation. I really enjoyed this. And we'll probably release the podcast in the next couple of days. I'll let you know.
Awesome. So on YouTube,
I'll put it on YouTube. It's on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Cast. It's on Podbean. All over the place. You can find it somewhere.
Cool. Awesome, dude. Awesome. It's been great. Thank you so much.
Dude, thank you so much for doing this. This is awesome. I'm so glad we got to sit down and just chat for a while.
Yeah. Never done it, and it's about time, I think.
I hope it wasn't weird that I just messaged you out of the blue and I was like, so do you want to just sit down and randomly chat for an hour and a half?
Not at all. Because ever since that first one, the one that I posted on my Instagram, I've been, I've been watching your YouTube videos, and I really want to get into it, but it's always that, like you said, the thought in your head, like, no, I won't text him now. Let him text me. Whatever.
Like a fucking desperate girlfriend. I'm like, yeah, dude. Can you please come on my podcast?
Hey, please, can I come?
Well, the thing about those ideas in the back of your head, dude, the good ones will stay there. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Like, everybody has some shitty ideas, and eventually those just kind of disappear. But if you've been thinking about the YouTube channel and it's a good idea, it will stick in the back of your brain. And then when time's right, you'll pull the trigger on it.
Cool. I will do that, man. Thank you.
All right, man. Let's wrap it up here. Man, I think we did like over an hour and a half. That's good shit.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, man.
That didn't feel like it at all.
I know. Just glimpsed by. We hit the flow state. That's the secret.
Yeah.
Once you hit the flow state, the time just passes by.
Oh, boom.
True. All right, everybody. Let's wrap up here. This is the Stronghold Podcast, episode 21. Thank you, everybody. Good night.